Alicia, how many PCs have you built before?
0.
Excellent.
With froze, cold night and the winter hot goes. Sorry that I fall away sometimes. Sorry that I fall away sometimes. Yeah.
Hi.
You're making it hard for yourself.
Welcome to the Sim Cafe. I'm Jeff.
I'm Alicia.
And today we are indeed building a cheap PC, the cheapest you can possibly imagine. We're going to do this for 1080p gaming and more specifically for sim racing.
Get out of the way. Get out of the way. I'm going to have to be. Good boy.
At the Sim Cafe, we want to get more people into sim racing. And I think that there are a lot of barriers for entry into this wonderful hobby. And one of those is having a powerful PC, or indeed a gaming PC. And another is having a wheel and pedals. So, in this video, I wanted to show you guys how easy it can be to build a gaming PC. And it's so easy that I'm not even going to build it. I'm not going to touch a single thing. Everything is going to be done by our novice PC builder here, Alicia. Alicia, how many PCs have you built before?
0.
Excellent. So this is going to go really well. I'm not allowed to touch a single component. So if she can build this and turn it on first time, we are clearly on to a winner.
Hopefully it doesn't burn now.
We're going to learn a little bit about the parts that go into a PC. We're going to build it. We're going to run Windows for the first time, so we'll show you how to do that on a new PC with nothing on it. And then we're going to make sure that sim racing works on it and try out our rig from our Pass It On project, which I'll talk about a little bit more later on. Okay, so next we're going to look at all of the components that are required to build a budget gaming PC. There's not many, I think there's 8 in total. Might sound like a lot, but we'll get through all of them at a low level just so you have a rough idea of what's going on and also how much each part costs.
Right. There are so many things on the table. Where should we start?
Let's start below the table and we'll look with a case. So we have a micro ATX case here. This is smaller than what you might see as your typical PC. Obviously PCs can be quite big and bulky. But actually, they don't have to be. And on a budget build, you can actually find much smaller components. So we have here a micro ATX case, and that is the first component. This cost £22, and this is new. And it has buttons on the front, as you can see, the ports for the USB and etc. And space for a couple of fans and one on the side. And we'll be using this throughout the build.
Cool.
After that, the motherboard. This is a micro ATX motherboard to fit the micro ATX case. Not much to tell you about this other than this always has to be compatible with your CPU. Then we have the CPU, the processor. For this one we have a Ryzen 5 1600. This I got on eBay in auction for £27. Next up, we have the GPU, what makes all the graphics work. Here we have a GTX 1060. This graphics card is probably about 6 years old now. I won this in auction on eBay for £80. Here we have the RAM, ready access memory. I've probably said that wrong. This I've actually donated to the cause from an old build myself. You could find this on eBay for about £30. It is 2 8GB sticks of RAM running at 3200 megahertz. And here we have the PSU, the power supply unit. Look at all this. This is the back of your PC where you plug in the big cable to turn it on, right? And obviously out the back of that comes all the cables that you plug into all of these components to power them. The more powerful the PC, the more powerful the PSU. Of course, we're running a budget build, so there's not that much power being consumed relatively, so you actually need a relatively cheap, small PSU. This one on eBay cost me how much? £8. Really not expensive.
Cheaper than my meal.
Okay, we also have the memory module. Memory. I probably shouldn't be using my fingers on this, but we'll live. This is an M2 SSD, M.2 I should say. This is 128 gigabytes. That's not a lot, I hear you cry. But it's enough to install Windows and more than enough to install a couple of sim racing titles, which is exactly what we want to do. Get started. This was new, I believe, and cost me £7.50.
Oh wow!
Yeah, pretty cheap.
What a steal!
And also, in order to make sure we don't overheat everything, we have a couple of fans. We have a little 80mm fan, which costs £6, dirt cheap, and this group of three 120mm RGB fans, so they glow. Love a bit of RGB. This was £15. Now there is another component which we must remember, and it is this little USB key. Now obviously you already have a USB key. You might not have one. You might need to buy one. You might have one lying around the house. It needs to be at least 8 gigabytes, and this is your Windows key. You need another PC, another machine to download a Windows boot key. It's free. I've downloaded Windows 10 just to make sure it runs on this machine. I'm not sure if it will run Windows 11. We don't need Windows 11 particularly. So we've got a Windows 10 boot key here. This is free, but this is an important part of the process. And also, we need one crosshead Phillips screwdriver. We need one of those. And that's everything. Okay, so part one of the build. And we're going to start with the motherboard. We have our lovely motherboard here. Let's install these clips back. And we need to install the CPU and the cooler onto the motherboard.
Okay.
So, Alicia,
Let's do
I'm
it.
not allowed to touch anything. Here's your CPU.
Let's get this open.
Basically, and we'll get fans. That's the CPU. And there's a fan, keeps it cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right, so first things first, we're going to put the CPU onto the motherboard. Okay, so for the CPU installation, there is actually on the AMDs a little triangle, a gold one, which corresponds with the triangle on the motherboard. You need to undo the clip first. So I'm going to get some nice video of this close up. So undo the clip. Look for the triangle, which in this one, can we get the little focus on it? Is there. There's the focal distance. There we go. There's our little triangle in that corner. We need to match that with a triangle on the CPU, which is there. You see that triangle on the bottom right there. And that goes in, please. Match those up. So it's nicely matched up, and then pin it back down. Installed your first CPU.
Yay!
So, after a slight whoopsie, we did not have a back plate for our CPU cooler, which was a big shame. That was probably meant to come with the motherboard, but such is the life of an eBay buyer that these things can happen. Alas, this was only a few pounds on Amazon, and we're now here. So, I said I wouldn't touch anything. I'm just simply handing you the part. We're now going to install a cooler onto the CPU. The CPU gets hot. The cheaper the CPU, the less hot it gets, thankfully, because the more expensive ones do more and they get hotter. So this only needs a basic cooler. This cooler actually comes with the CPU itself.
So I put this. Ouch.
So yeah, get the backplate on, please.
Done. Got CPU cooler.
And you do have an AMD logo, so maybe have that side, which I think you're better off having that towards this side, I think, because the RAM goes on the other side. Yeah, because the RAM goes on that side.
And there's this cord.
Yep, that's a power cable for the fan.
Okay.
Fan needs power.
So I plop that in.
The CPU cooler actually has a layer of thermal paste already applied to it. Okay, so after installing the CPU cooler, we need to plug in the fan that sits on top of it. Alicia, would you like to plug in the CPU fan onto the motherboard? Everything needs power. Good. Next up, let's put in the memory, which is our little M.2 SSD, only 128 gigabytes, but more than enough for Windows and Assetto Corsa Competizione and a few other sims, to be honest. So let's plug that in. So the SSD goes into this port here. Okay, so we've installed the memory, the SSD. We've had the cat trying to destroy the studio. pretty much constantly. Let's do the RAM next. So we have some RAM here for you, 2 8GB sticks. They're going to go in the RAM slots over here. Now, when you are installing RAM, especially 2 channels, which we have here, 2 sticks, you need to check with your motherboard which slots they go into. In this case, it's the 2 light grey slots, which are, I believe, numbered 1 and 2. They're the light grey slots. You see those?
Yeah, this one.
This one and the third one. Now you can also see that split is not in the middle. So if you work out where the split goes, it's not in the middle. Good. And then you push it in both sides. Make sure it slots in perfectly into those gates. And it pushes all the way in until it clicks. Push it, oh, nearly clicked. 1 click, and then the other click. Nice. 2 clicks. That's in first stick of RAM installed. Okay, and the other one. In number 3. Or number 2 in the board, which is the third slot here. Again, let's get those clicks. I have previously installed RAM on PCs and not done the clicks. It looked like it was in, it was very firm, but I didn't get the click. And when I booted, it didn't go very well. No RAM, no times.
The little sticker.
The little sticker, lovely. Right, well we are getting through this build very quickly, it would seem. And we are now, we've done the SSD, we've done the RAM, we've installed the CPU and the cooler onto the motherboard. We're now going to put this into our tiny little micro ATX case. Alicia, where are you? Alicia's here, amazing. Got worried there, couldn't find you. First things first, this thing, the IO shield. Ooh. Okay, so for the IO shield, we need to get this into the PC case before we do anything else. So let's get these leads out. These are the ones that connect the motherboard to the actual case, because the case has buttons, so we need to find a way to communicate with them. That's those. Let's pop you up there for now, see if it stays in that later. Get rid of that. There you go, cooler. You can enjoy it like a fan. Okay, so when installing the motherboard into the case, first of all we need the IO shield. Now the IO shield goes in and then pushes outwards. So if you get that and push it through the back. So now that you've snapped out some holes in the case, let's put this in. This clips in perfectly into this. And we make sure our rear butterfly is open. Yep, looking good. So clip it in and also those ports come out of here as well. That goes in one. Can you do it? First time. Straight in that slot, front and back. Yeah, that's it, and make sure the IO ports are looking good in here as well. Yeah, and then squeeze it in until you get a click. Oh, the click happened. Nice, satisfying.
Just 1 click?
Satisfying click, that'll do.
Okay.
Right, awesome. Happy with that?
Yeah.
The first graphics card install. Awesome.
Here.
Yep.
And screwed it in.
Nice.
What's next?
Let's do the power supply unit next. I think that's... After this, it's the fans, and we're pretty much done.
Wow.
I know, right? Not that hard. So, let's get this in. You have got 4 screws there, so take those 4 screws off, please. Oh no, as you drop one, the cat's going to eat it. Did that just go in your slipper?
Yeah.
Excellent work. In the slipper somehow. Amazing. There we go. Beautiful slipper. Slipper full of dreams. Thank you. Right. Let's install the PSU. The PSU in this case is going to go technically in the top, sucking in nothing. Right, and these cables need to find a home soon. We'll just do that for now. Beautiful. How ugly. We'll worry about that later. That will go right up against the case and you'll screw it in. Going to love all the continuity with this. We are all over the place with the edit, but we don't care. We're showing you how to build a PC. That's the important thing. We're installing an 80mm fan on the back of the PC. So we're going to need to screw this in from the back. But it did come with some screws, which is quite handy of them. Probably these 4 will be fine. And that will be stuck in on the system fan. So you can see, where's the system fan? Here, this one. That's where you're going to clip it in.
Okay.
I haven't helped her with any part of this build. Have I touched anything?
You gave it to me.
I might have passed some things, but nothing has been done by me. So, we've installed the PSU, we've installed one of the fans. I think it's time we plug some things in. Now, we could do cable management, but it's not going to be easy in this tiny case, so I think we're just going to do cables. We're now going to install the last 3 fans. from here. This is a cheap set of fans. They are actually LEDs, but you can't really buy many fans without them nowadays. So this is a cheap LED set, and they actually had their own useful little controller and power hub. So you simply plug them all into this, and then you plug this into this. That goes in there. This will have to hide in here as well, and then all the fans go in there.
Okay.
Cool. So, two fans go in the front and one goes in the side case. You can just screw one in here for now, go for it. This one is pushing outwards. So yeah, like that. Nice.
While I'm building the PC, why don't you comment down below and tell us what your PC specs are, or what your future PC is going to look like. Did we inspire you?
Nice. And now we're going to install the final two fans in the front of the case. These have screw holes in the front, you see those?
Yep.
There's 8 screw holes in the front. We're going to have the fans blowing inwards, taking air from the outside, blowing it in from the front of the case.
Okay.
Okay, fans done?
Done!
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about fans and airflow, because most people like me are probably a little bit uncertain about what to do and what really makes a good temperature regulation in the case and making sure all your bits don't get too hot and cooked. Well, basically what happens is when your parts get very hot, they will start to throttle or basically reduce their performance so that they cool down. You don't want that, obviously. So, what do we do? Well, you want positive to neutral, preferably positive, air pressure. What that means is more goes in than comes out, which is actually quite easy to do. You can simply have more fans bringing air in than going out, or in our case we have smaller fans going out and coming in, just slightly smaller. You can also go to the BIOS, which is the startup part of your PC, and you can push delete or F12, whatever it is, to enter it, and change actually the speed of each fan. You can do this with certain programs on Windows, but in the BIOS is where people normally do it. And again, just make your front fans faster than your back fans. So again, more air goes in. Is that obvious? That's positive air pressure. That's what we're looking for. So of course we've got 2 in the front,
Yep.
1 in the back and 1 in the side. They're going out, this is going in. Now if they were all at full RPM, we would have positive air pressure because this is smaller. So we're doing a little bit less out. But we're going to reduce the speed on this a little bit as well so it's not so loud. These small ones are very noisy normally. And we're going to have positive air pressure.
Okay.
Cool. Now do this one. Awesome. One PC built. I don't need. It wasn't me. It was all you. I mean, I might have helped you, but I didn't do anything. I didn't touch a single thing. What did you think? How hard was that?
Wasn't hard. Just plugging, like clean Legos, like, you know.
Yeah.
Plugging everything on the right slot, and yeah, it's not too hard. But without your instructions, I wouldn't be able to like figure things out.
Okay, so hopefully the video does help then. I'll try and include little bits and parts, and maybe if you've got any questions, you're welcome to chuck them in the comments and I can try and help, or you can join our Discord and I might set up a PC help centre to people who want to build these things for dirt cheap, less than £250, and we have a PC right here. Now for the scary part, we're going to try turning it on. Okay, awesome. Okay, so here is the moment of truth. Should push the power button and see if it kind of works. It should go to the BIOS hopefully because we haven't put Windows in yet. So kind of push the power button. We have lights. We have lights. We have fan.
Working.
Fans are working. That's pushing out. That's pushing out. That's sucking in. Let's see if anything happens on the monitor. It might take a while once it kind of figures out what it's all doing. Fingers crossed, gang. Fingers crossed. First ever boot up of your PC. Let's see. Will it work? Won't it? We'll find out.
Are these all plugged in?
Yep. So this could take a while, so we'll give it a second. I think the monitor was turned on. Oh! Oh wow! Oh wow! BIOS has been reset. Please reconfigure your BIOS setup items as needed. Okay, enter.
Okay.
Mouse and keyboard are working. Wow, look at this. Okay, so seems to be working. First things first, we do need to change the memory speed, so let's do that. Okay, so we put our little boot key into the USB, and then we restarted, and it has loaded us straight into the Windows installation. So, language to install: English, United Kingdom, time and currency, yeah, English, United Kingdom all the way, United Kingdom all the way. Install now. Right, and now we're installing Windows. That deserves a high five. Awesome. How hard was that?
Not very.
Okay.
Activate Windows.
Well, if you're a fan of KSI, you'll know that you never activate Windows. But we'll talk about that later. We will get it sorted out here. So, as you can see, the PC build was a success, and we installed Windows and everything went nice and fine. And here you can see Alicia trying some laps of Monza using the PC and the wheels and pedals from our Pass It On project. As I said at the start, here at the Sim Cafe, we're all about getting more people into sim racing, and the Pass It On project is a big part of that. So, if you're interested in using our sim rig and PC, then get in touch on our Discord. All the details will be in the description of this video below, so look out for that. And you can see here the first recipients of the Pass It On project. We have Julia and Toby using the rig in their apartment. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more sim racing content. I stream around 4 times a week, and we race together as a community as well on Assetto Corsa Competizione. So if you're interested in that, again, join our Discord. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll see you on the next video.